Guys, welcome to Northshore. We are super excited that you're here with us. It's Sunday morning.
It is.
It's July 18th.
July 18th.
Which is a week we've been talking about for like
a long time.
If you haven't heard about July 18th, there's something big happening. Do you know what's happening today?
Yeah. Today we have been talking about Palooza.
You can't not get excited when you say that word.
No, you just say it just because it's fun.
Just jazz hands, just the full Palooza. We're really excited. It's going to be a ton of fun. We'll tell you a little bit more about it here in a couple minutes. But whether you're joining us right here on our Kirkland campus, or maybe you're joining us from home or your couch or work or your car, really wherever. We really don't care. We're just super excited that you guys are spending some time with us here today.
Yeah, and especially if you're watching from online, just want to say welcome.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just a great experience. And there's still actually hundreds of us watching from online, and we're so excited and so thankful that you're still engaged with us. And in fact, you know, we have a team of host team members that are wanting to interact with you. So go ahead and comment in there, say hello, drop a few lines there. And also, if you just would take a moment just to share our experience with some of your friends, that would be amazing.
Yeah, we'd love to get to know a little bit about more about your story and just connect you into Northshore. And we need to pause here. I realized we never actually introduced ourselves.
We did.
Yeah, hit the pause button. My name is Stephen Bolt.
And David Choi.
And as we said earlier, we have the Palooza today. And if you're on our Kirkland campus, you probably walked into your building, your building. It is your building. It's your church. Come on, own it. Into the building here. And you're like, why is there either like a summer festival or Disneyland or some combination of those things in our parking lot, right?
Yeah, and why not? I mean, it's summer.
That's the better
sunny,
question we should
Washington.
be asking. Yes.
Right.
So tell us a little bit more about what can we expect this afternoon? It's happening today.
It's happening today, right after our second service.
Yep.
We have live music outside.
Yes.
Always a great time out there when there's music.
Is the live music you? Are you performing it?
Do you want me to?
I would love, if that is, you heard it here, David Choi is going to be a cappella.
People don't know about secret talents that people have, and I'm just telling you, I don't have that secret talent.
I was like, what? This is amazing.
I can sing a solo, but I want you to come back next week, so I probably won't sing.
Okay, so we got live music.
Live music.
What are some other things?
Food.
Ton of food.
Lots of good food.
Yep.
We got food trucks. And that's always been a hit.
Yep.
We also have a mechanical bull.
Yes. If you've never been on a mechanical bull, do yourself a favor. You can YouTube mechanical bull fails. Get excited, get hyped. It's
get pumped.
You can nominate someone.
You can, nominate your spouse.
Nominate your spouse.
Your kids.
All in told. It's great.
Yeah.
Well, there's going to be tons of stuff. Dunk tanks, inflatables, bouncy houses. We have a little bit of everything out there. So no matter what age or stage you are in, you are invited. Obviously, it's all free. You can come, experience that, buy some lunch from one of the food trucks, and we're providing refreshments and a few other things. But the really exciting thing is if this is your first time joining us, whether you're online or right here on our Kirkland campus, if you're here and it's your first time, we actually want to buy your lunch this afternoon.
Yes.
So to make that happen, all you have to do is just text Northshore to 97,000. Or if you are on our Kirkland campus, on your seat when you walked in, there was a little connection card. Take a look at that. There's a little checkbox there for "It's my first time." At the end of the service, you can bring that out to the guest services table, and we would love to give you a voucher for free lunch this afternoon.
Yeah.
And if you're at home watching and you're like, I want free lunch, easy. Text that number, Northshore 97,000, and then come on into campus, come to the guest services table, and we'd love to give you that voucher. We are so excited that you're joining us today and excited to have you at the Palooza.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so again, if you're just joining us, my name is Stephen Bolt.
And my name is David.
And in addition to the Palooza, we've got another really exciting thing coming up this week called Starting Point. It starts on Tuesday.
Yes.
And our Starting Point coordinator, Becky, wanted to take some time and just share with you a little bit more about what that is and what you can expect. So check this out.
Well, hi everyone. My name is Becky, and I want to tell you about something that could really change your life. I get to be part of an experience that we host a few times a year here called Starting Point, which is a 4-week series where we walk through some of the DNA of Northshore and just some of the ways you can go deeper in your relationship with Jesus. But the best part of the experience is just getting to know you. We love getting to know people who are looking for their place and looking for their people here, and really helping you take those steps and find those people. And we know God has gifted you in some amazing ways. We want to be a part of sending you out into our community and into the world and helping you find those places that are so life-giving that they just change you forever. So I hope you'll consider joining us. We have a series coming soon, and you can sign up and read more about it at our website at northshore.church/startingpoint. So I hope to see you there.
Well, we really hope to see you at Starting Point. You're not going to want to miss it. It starts this Tuesday. So either head out to guest services table or head to our website, northshore.church. Get signed up today. So you're probably wondering, what is happening here? Why is there a Tupperware that's been, or a storage tote that's been cut up and sliced up? And right now, we are in a series called Less Fear, More Courage. So tell us what this is about.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but a lot of times, a lot of the fear revolves around the things that are unknown and just unseen. We just don't see what's ahead of us. And we're wondering what's going on. God, what is this, right? We're trying to figure out what we don't know. And so I thought it'd be great for us to play a little game with Steven. What he's gonna do is he's gonna put his hand into this box, just muster up all of that courage, all right?
All that courage.
And you're gonna try to figure out what it is that we put in this box.
So,
what do you think?
So just like this, put my hand in, try and figure. And I don't know what any of these are.
No, he has no idea.
Okay.
Not even a clue.
I really hope you didn't talk to my wife about like my biggest fears, because if there's a lizard in there, I will leave this place and never come back. Not that extreme. But I hope you didn't talk to her. So I need to turn around.
You need to turn around. We're gonna bring our first item in.
You just let me know if I hear any squeaking or like squealing or squishing.
All right, here we go. Item number 1.
I am actually, I didn't think I'd be this nervous, but I actually am really nervous. Is it gonna bite? Is there anything that will bite me?
You know, your life is not in danger, I'll say. Like,
oh my gosh.
survival rate is probably like 89%.
Dude, if this bites me, I'm gonna freak out.
Okay, go straight down.
I'm so scared. Okay. Oh, okay, it doesn't bite. I'm not that scared anymore. A clothes hanger? Don't break it. The top half of a clothes hanger.
Nope, not even close. I'm gonna show you what it is.
Okay,
you
yeah,
ready?
yeah. That's my guess, a dog treat. Yep.
This is my night guard.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
You're just fiddling around my night guard.
Yep. Okay, let's get the second one going
number
here.
2.
That's so funny. Oh, well, so it does kind of bite, or at least you bite.
Yeah.
My hand was literally shaking. We're gonna go quick on this one. Oh, I'm so scared. Is this one?
This one's pretty gross too.
Oh gosh. Is my hand on it?
You're on it. You're on it.
Oh. What? Dude, that is weird. Is that feathers? Cotton.
Close. Close.
Dude.
Little bit, think grosser.
Grosser than feathers or cotton? Oh my gosh, is that like armpit hair or something? What is it? Is it armpit hair?
It's hair.
Oh.
It's not armpit hair though, but it is gross.
It is hair, okay.
It's hair.
Oh my gosh, I'm not gonna ask whose hair that is. You are really playing up the fear element to this. All right, let's keep cruising.
Keep going. Here. All right, we got 2 more, yeah.
Okay.
All right, come on in.
Here we go. Oh.
What?
I can squeeze it.
Yeah, you got to get right in there to feel it, to really know what it is.
It smells like dog food. It's for sure dog food. This is dog food.
It's pretty close, but it's Spam.
Oh, okay. That is so gross. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, you made a mess.
These are so gross.
All right,
Wow.
here we go. Next one.
Okay. So again, is this thing gonna bite or sting or scream?
It won't. It won't. Go down.
I don't want to do this.
There you go.
Oh.
It's pleasant, isn't it?
I wouldn't call it.
Yeah.
pleasant. It's.
You gotta really get in there, you know?
Can I break it?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, you can.
Go for it.
It feels wet and cold. I don't know what is this some sort of meat product?
It's close to a meat product.
Is it? I don't know, maybe like a meatball. That's what I'll say. Is it a meatball?
No,
it doesn't feel great.
Oysters.
Oh, that's so gross. Oh my gosh. Well, wow. We hope you guys enjoyed that as much as we did. I don't even know how to respond after that.
Yeah.
I need to go wash my hands. But we are in this series called Less Fear, More Courage. Maybe after this you have the courage to like stick your hand in a dark, cold space somewhere. But last week's message was so good, and we want to take you back and show you how Scotty kicked off the message. Check this out.
Friends, you'll never know that God can catch you unless you jump. Remember, this is a God who promises to be faithful, who promises to be good, who promises to be with you, who promises to be present. And he's never dropped anyone, and he promises to never drop you. But you have to jump. You have to take a step. You have to take the reins in your life.
Well, last week was such a great message by Scotty. This week we have another great one.
Yeah, I'm super excited, and we are excited that you're here with us, whether you're here in Kirkland or online. We just want to say thank you for spending some time with us. We're about to jump into service together, and once again, welcome to Northshore.
Well, hey, how are we doing today? Welcome to Northshore. How you doing? Nice. Okay. We are here. It's going to be a great day. Go ahead and stand if you would, please. Welcome if you're in this room. Welcome if you're joining us online. I just want to encourage us today that we can just be fully present in this. We can open up our hearts and our minds to whatever God wants to do today. He has something for each and every one of us. So let's worship with passion. Let's sing out and give him the worship that he deserves. Sound good? All right, let's do it. There is no shadow that has ever overcome your light. There is no rival that could ever stand against your might. You've always been with us. Every battle you've already won. You've already won. All right, let's sing together. There's no weapon. There is no weapon that has ever left a mark on you. There is no army with the power to conquer truth. You've always been with us. Every battle you've already won. You've already won. Show me one thing you can't And all of my fear I will turn into praise. Shake off despair as I sing out your name. A victory dance, I will dance out in faith. I will crush disappointment and break every chain. Oh, all of my fear I will turn into praise. Shake off despair as I sing out your name. A victory dance, I will dance out in faith. I will crush disappointment and break every chain. All of my fear I will turn into praise. Shake off despair as I sing out your name. A victory dance, I will dance out in faith. I will crush disappointment. Show me one thing he can't do. Show me a mountain he can't move. He's the God of the breakthrough, and anything is possible. Show me one thing that's too hard. Show me waters he can't part. He is the God of the breakthrough, and anything is possible. Yes, anything. Yes.
Crashes over me, crashes over
Hey, we all come into this place kind of from different spots in our life. We have different things on our mind, and I just want to read this verse for us. This applies to each and every one of us today, and it's God's promise to us. He says in Isaiah 41:10, "Do not be afraid, for I am with you. Don't be discouraged, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will hold you up with my victorious right hand." Let's keep worshiping together. And you are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. And you are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. All right, you guys take it. Sing Waymaker.
You are Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are.
Come on, let's keep singing. Oh, you are.
Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are.
You are here, touching every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, healing every heart. I worship you, Jesus. I worship you. You are here, turning lives around. I worship you, yes. I worship you. You are here, you're mending every heart. I worship you, yeah. I worship you. You are Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. 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 Yeah. That is who you are. That is who you are. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop, you never stop working. You never stop, you never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop, you never stop working. You never stop, you never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop, you never stop working. You never stop, you never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop, you never stop working. You never stop, you never stop working. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who
Well, good morning. Welcome to Northshore. You guys can have a seat. We're so glad that you are here with us today. It's a great, great day. We're really looking forward to all that God is going to be doing here this morning. I just want to take a moment just to say welcome. My name is David. I'm on the team here, and especially if this is your first time here at Northshore, we just want to extend a warm welcome to you. If you wouldn't mind taking a moment right now and just letting us know that you're here, you can text the word Northshore to 97000. There's a little form you fill out, and it comes with a little gift as well. But we just want to be able to connect with you and just be able to just say hello, and also help you get connected into one of our ministries and just get to know a little bit more about our church. So you can go ahead and do that. You might have noticed there in front of you, we have our connection cards that look just like this. And so if you wouldn't mind, each of us just filling this card out as much information as you're comfortable with. And especially if this is your first time here at Northshore, for those of us that are here in person, you can just fill this card out. And on that top right-hand corner, if you'll just check that box there and bring it to the guest services center in the lobby, just outside after the service. Bring it to someone there, and what you're gonna receive, all right, you ready? You get a free food voucher for one of our food trucks outside, all right? That's only if you're new, okay? So don't everybody try to do that, all right? But if you're new here, go ahead and fill this card out and check that box, take it to the guest services, and we have a free meal for you here today, just outside. Now, speaking of outside, you're probably thinking, what in the world is going on out there? And if you haven't been with us the past couple weeks, we have Summer Palooza today. You guys excited? Yes, I know, it's gonna be so fun. So this is gonna take place after the second service at 11:30, so I hope you guys come back. But we're gonna have things from like the mechanical bull to bounce houses, mini golf, and I'm really looking forward to this. We're gonna have a dunk tank out there, and we're gonna have Pastor Scotty out there. We want to keep him hydrated today on this hot day, all right? So let's get him in that water. So hope you guys come back for that. It's going to be a great opportunity, honestly, for us to try to connect with our neighbors. And for so many of us, we're coming back from this pandemic, but we get a great opportunity to just see each other out there. And so please come back for that. Also, one last thing. We have a great experience called Starting Point that's kicking off this week on Tuesday night online. And so it's a 4-week experience. It's gonna be a great and amazing time for us to get to know each other and get to know more about the church. Whether you're here for the first time or maybe you've been here for 20 years and you haven't gone through Starting Point, this is a great opportunity. You're gonna love just getting to know people. And I actually lied. I don't know how amazing it's gonna be actually, because this is actually my first time going through it too, all right? So I just joined the team here. I signed up for it, so I hope you guys sign up for it as well. Don't leave me hanging in there, guys, all right? So I'm gonna encourage you to join us for Starting Point. Again, you can do that by signing up in our connection cards. And on your way out, we're gonna have some of our team members holding a bucket. If you wouldn't mind just putting that in there, that would be great. And again, if it's your first time, just take it straight to the guest services, and we're gonna get you a voucher for a free meal. Well, here's another thing I want to just encourage you with, is that God has been doing something special, something amazing here in the Kirkland campus, and even online actually. God has been really showing up, and because of that, so many new people have been joining our services as well. And a big part of that is really because of so many of you just choosing to be generous and choosing to be faithful in your giving. And I just want to take a moment just to say thank you for that. Like, your giving just goes such a long way, so much longer, so much further than you can actually imagine or see. And a part of it is just being able to get together like this and to worship. And so let me just take a moment just to say thank you for doing that. Excuse me. One other thing, if you're actually new here, feel no pressure or no obligation to give. We just like to know that you were here. We're just so glad that you've joined us. So thank you for that. Last week, Pastor Scotty kicked off a brand new message series called Less Fear, More Courage. It was a great message, and we have another great one here for you today. But before we get there, take a look at this video.
Well, hey, everybody, welcome to Northshore. So glad to see you here, and I'm so glad you found your way to church this weekend with us, whether you're here in this room or if you're online, whether it's your first time or you're here week after week after week. So glad that you're with us. And for those of you who are watching online, if you're in the Kirkland area, you still have time to get out of those pajamas and get over to campus today for Summer Palooza. It's gonna be incredible. And yes, I'm gonna be in the dunk tank today, but as your pastor, it is important that I remind you of these sacred words of Jesus. Let the one who is without sin throw first. Okay? God will be watching, so just keep that in mind. But as we dive into the message today, I want to start with a story from my life as a kid. When I was growing up, all I wanted to be in life was bigger. Some of you have heard me talk about this before. I grew up kind of always small for my age. Remember those signs at the fair or the amusement park, the too short to ride? And those applied to me until like just a couple of years ago, okay? Growing up on the smaller side was challenging. When I was learning to play sports, other kids were always bigger and stronger. When I was in middle school, I got pushed around by bigger kids who liked to push around smaller kids. When I was in high school, I actually made the basketball team, but I never played in any actual games. I was always too short. The taller guys played while I sat on the bench and developed character, And through all those years, I remember thinking, if only I were a little bigger, if only I were a little taller, then I would have more friends. Then I'd be successful at sports. Then I'd feel more attractive. And then I finally got a little bigger, finally got a little taller, not too much taller, but I got a little bit taller. And you know what happened? My fears didn't go away. My insecurity didn't go away. My self-doubt didn't go away. It's like when you get into that school or you get that dream job and you think your self-doubt's just gonna magically disappear, but it doesn't. Or it's like when you get married or you start dating someone and you think the loneliness inside is just gonna magically go away, but it doesn't. Or when you finally reach that level of financial security you've been aiming for and you think that fear about the future is just gonna magically go away, but it doesn't. You see, when it comes to dealing with fear or anxiety in our lives, we have this pattern, this habit, this inclination that we need to make ourselves bigger or stronger or greater. Just think for a moment about the fear that you're trying to overcome in your life right now, whatever it may be. Maybe your biggest fear is about a loved one or losing a loved one. Maybe your biggest fear is around being criticized or the fear of being rejected. Maybe your biggest fear is about your future or having enough. I actually read an article this past week that said the number one fear in America is what I'm doing right now, speaking in public. That's like the number one thing that people are afraid of, right? Some people say they fear speaking in public more than death itself. That means some people would rather die than give a sermon. I know people who'd rather die than hear a sermon. Some of you may be thinking that right now. We all wrestle with fear in some way or another. And sometimes our fears can feel too big, too scary, too powerful. But maybe, and this is what we're talking about today, maybe your fears aren't too big. Maybe your God is actually too small. Maybe your problem isn't that your fears are too big, they're too overwhelming, they're too great. Maybe your God is too small. You see, if your God is too small, you're gonna constantly worry about your future because God isn't big enough to protect it. If your God is too small, you'll be tempted to chase wealth or success or achievement because your God isn't big enough to satisfy you. If your God is too small, you'll be so easily discouraged by criticism or disappointment or rejection because your God isn't big enough to support you. You see, whether you follow Jesus or not in your life, how you live is a reflection of how big your God is. And overcoming your fears isn't actually about having a bigger life. It's about trusting a bigger God. And I hope I can convince you of that today. So if you were here last week, we started this new message series called Less Fear, More Courage. And we're looking at some of the stories in the Bible of men and women who were ordinary people that had this extraordinary courage. And we're using these three kind of ancient books in the Bible, Joshua, Judges, and Ruth. And if you're here last week, we looked at the life of a man named Joshua. And then next week, we're gonna look at the remarkable story of this woman named Ruth. But between those two books is a collection of stories in a book called Judges. Now, just so you know, judges in the Bible aren't the same thing as judges today. They're more like tribal leaders who protected the people and led them through military battles. And there are actually 12 of them in the book of Judges. These are the 12 judges. Some of you may have heard of the name Samson. You know, strong, athletic, great hair, terrible at relationships. You know, sounds like someone you dated in high school, right? You know the story of Samson. Or maybe you know Deborah, the woman who led all of Israel. And by the way, yes, women led Israel. Women led in the Bible even over men. But what all these different judges have in common is they all came into leadership during a crisis. In fact, one of the phrases you'll find over and over in the book of Judges is this real kind of simple phrase that says, and the Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord. You see that phrase over and over, meaning they had turned to false gods, or they started practicing idolatry, or followed the immoral practices of the Canaanite culture. And so God will allow other nations to invade them, kind of as a wake-up call. And then the Israelites would always cry out to God for help. And then God would raise up a leader, a judge, if you will, to deliver them back into a season of peace, which would last until Israel was unfaithful again. And this cycle happened over and over and over again. Which brings us to our story. Judges chapter 6, starting in verse 1. No surprise how this story is going to begin. The Israelites once again did evil in the eyes of the Lord, and for 7 years he gave them into the hands of the Midianites. Now, just a little context here. The Midianites were a nomadic group of tribes that lived in the Arabian Peninsula. So they would at times travel north to Israel during the harvest season, and they would steal their crops and their livestock. In fact, they were so numerous and so hostile, the Israelites began living in caves up in the mountains. Text goes on to say this: Midian so impoverished the Israelites that they cried out to the Lord for help, right? No surprise. It's just part of the cycle. The surprise comes when God chooses his next leader. Look what happens. The angel of the Lord came and sat down under the oak in Ophrah, not Oprah, Ophrah, that belonged to Joash the Abiezrite, where his son Gideon was threshing wheat in a winepress to keep it from the Midianites. Now, I want to pause here because it's crucial that we see and understand exactly what's happening here. Gideon is threshing wheat in a wine press. Now, for those of you who thresh wheat for a living, you know it requires like a large outdoor space called a threshing floor. In the ancient world, a threshing floor would look something like this, kind of a large outdoor area, and farmers would basically take tools and they would thresh or beat the straw to loosen the grain. That's how you would thresh wheat. So Gideon normally would be threshing wheat on a threshing floor. And as we'll see later in the story, he actually has a threshing floor. But he's not using it. Nope, our guy Gideon is threshing wheat in a wine press, which looked more like this in the ancient world, kind of a hole in the ground where you would get in, crouch down, and tread on grapes to make wine. So that's kind of the scene that he's in. Now, just want to make this really, really clear. The problem with this is you cannot thresh wheat in a wine press. I mean, there's no room, it's inefficient, you're kind of down on your knees, you're in this kind of hole in the ground. It would be like going out and trying to mow your lawn with a beard trimmer, okay? It's just not the way you would get it done effectively. So why is Gideon threshing wheat in a wine press? Because he's afraid. He's hiding. He doesn't want the Midianites to find him, which is when the angel of the Lord comes to him and appears and said, "The Lord is with you, Gideon, mighty warrior." The Lord is with you, mighty warrior. Mighty warrior? Gideon? I mean, are we talking about the same guy? He's not a mighty warrior. He's like a terrified thresher. Like he's in a hole in the ground threshing wheat. But God comes to him, chooses him anyway. Isn't that amazing? I mean, that's a mark in the story right there. Chooses him anyway. And notice, God doesn't just call him when he's afraid. He calls him by a name that calls him out of his fear. He calls him in a way that calls him out of his fear because, and this is so true with God, we become like what we're called. So true in our lives, right? We become like what we're called. Some of you are carrying around pain from labels or names that you've been called in your life, and you're still living through the shame or the guilt or the insecurity or the fear of those names. But when God comes to you, he doesn't call you out or label you by your fear. he calls you out of it with a name that gives you courage. He says, I see a strong leader. I see a smart student. I see a confident parent. I see a faithful spouse. And by the way, whose voice are you really listening to when you're afraid? Whose voice? Yours? Someone else's? Or the God who made you? The God who sees you, the God who knows you, the God who sees all that you can be. Well, it's that God who comes to Gideon when he's hiding in a wine press and he says, I want you, Gideon, like you're my guy. I'm picking you, mighty warrior. Isn't that incredible? But as you might expect, Gideon's not just there yet. You know, courage doesn't always happen overnight. He's not there yet. And Gideon objects. Look at what he says. He says, pardon me, my Lord, but if the Lord is with us. Now, by the way, Gideon, kind of tactical here. God said, I am with you, Gideon. But Gideon, he's so baffled. He so doesn't believe that God would call him. He changes the pronouns around. Look at what it does. If the Lord is with us, why has all this happened to us? Where are all his wonders that our ancestors told us about when they said, did not the Lord bring us up out of Egypt? But now the Lord has abandoned us and given us into the hand of Midian. You see, Gideon doesn't just feel overwhelmed by really big fears. He's lost confidence in this really big God. A God for him is now far away, no longer involved. I mean, where are all those wonders that God used to do? You know what? He's probably packed them and taken them off to wherever he's gone to. You see, when your God is too small, you start to believe that things can't change. That marriage isn't going to get any better. That problem isn't going to get any better. That job isn't going to get any better, right? That's just the way it is. Or that's just the way I am, we'll think. But the good news is, Gideon's lack of faith, it doesn't actually slow down God. Look at what happens next. The Lord turned back to him, not to them, to him, and said, go in the strength you have and save Israel out of Midian's hand. Am I not sending you? And I love this phrase, go in the strength you have. Not the strength of your neighbor, not the strength of the stronger person, not the strength of the person you think should go. Go in the strength you have. You see, God doesn't have a strength prerequisite for you. There's not like a minimum strength required or a too short to ride when it comes to God's call on your life. He just says, go in what strength you have. And for Gideon, guess what? It's not very much. I mean, he's still hiding in the wine press, right? Go in the strength you have. Whatever you have, no matter how small, if you have God, it's enough. But once again, Gideon objects. Look at this. Pardon me, my... Notice how polite he is? You know, we're often polite when we want to say no to God, right? Like, I'm going to be very polite to give God this nice little no. Pardon me, my Lord, he replies, but how can I save Israel? My clan is the weakest in Manasseh, and I am the least in my family. You see, Gideon looks at his life and he sees what? His limitations. He sees only his limitations. Only what he lacks. God, I can't save Israel. My clan is the weakest. And we do this too, don't we? God, I can't serve in the church. I'm just too busy. God, I can't share my faith. I don't have all the answers. God, I can't give money away. I'm barely making it by month to month in my own life. But here's the thing. Your limitations don't limit God. They don't. Think about these stories in the Bible. Moses couldn't speak well, but God called him to speak to a Pharaoh. David was just a shepherd boy. God called him to lead a nation. Mary was just a teenage girl ready to get married. God called her to give birth to the Son of God. Do you see a pattern in all that? Your limitations don't limit God. The only qualification you need in your life is God. The only qualification you need for whatever God is calling you to be or to do is God himself. And that's what God says to Gideon. God answered, I will be with you. I'm all that you need. And because of that, you will strike down all the Midianites, leaving none alive. In other words, God is all you need on your resume. God is all you need on your list of qualifications. God is the only box you actually have to check, because when God is with you, who can stand against you? How many of you remember the movie The Lion King? Anybody remember the movie The Lion King? Not the remake with the real animals talking, that's just kind of strange. I mean the old school, like non-computer generated animation Lion King, right? Well, there's a scene when Simba is just a little cub, and he wanders off to a place where he's not supposed to be, and he gets cornered by a group of hyenas. So he lets out like the biggest roar he can, which sounds like more of a kitten, right? And the hyenas start laughing. They're like, was that it? Do that again. And Simba roars. He's going to try to roar again, but this time you hear this deep, like earth-shattering, earth-shaking roar. It was the roar of who? His father, who was coming to save him. A roar that left no doubt who was actually in charge. And I think that's what life with God is actually like. You see, when your roar is not loud enough, he'll roar for you. When your strength isn't strong enough, he'll be strong for you, because having courage in this life is not about your strength, it's about God's. But guess what? Gideon still doesn't believe it. Like he's like, no way, there's no way, it's not happening. So you know what he does? He goes and he asks God for a sign. He asks God for a sign. Look at this. He says, if you will save Israel by my hand as you've promised, look, I will place a wool fleece on the threshing floor. See, there's this threshing floor all the time, right? Sort of an ironic moment. Look, I'm gonna finally use the threshing floor. And if there's dew only on the fleece and all the ground is dry, then I'll know that you will save Israel by my hand as you have said. By the way, have you ever asked God for a sign, kind of hoping to get the answer that you want, right? I heard a story about a guy who was driving down the road and he saw a bakery and said, okay, God, if there's a parking space in front of the bakery, I'll know it's a sign that I should stop and go in and get a donut, right? And after 5 times around, there was finally a parking space, right? Sometimes we ask for a sign out of faith. Sometimes we do. But sometimes, you see, we ask for a sign out of fear because we don't trust God that he'll take care of us. Or we don't want to go where God's calling us. Well, Gideon is so afraid, he asks for one sign after another. If there's dew on the ground but not on the fleece, then I'll believe you, and God does it. But that's not enough. He asks one more time. If there's dew on the fleece but not on the ground, then I'll believe you, and God does it. And here's an important dynamic in the story that I want you to see. It's that God is patient when we're afraid. God is patient with you when you're afraid. You see, we think when we're afraid, God's gonna run out of patience real quick, but he's patient. He stays with you. He's faithful. He doesn't rebuke Gideon. He just keeps reminding him, you can trust me, you can trust me, you can trust me. And finally, Gideon does, and he goes, and he puts together this army of Israelites that are gonna go to battle against Midian. But there's a problem with this army. And it's a real concrete kind of problem. It's not like an abstract problem, a theoretical problem. It's a very concrete problem. It's a numbers problem. Any of you numbers people in the room? It's a numbers problem. Okay, we're gonna do some numbers now. There are 135,000 Midianites. Gideon pulls together 32,000 Israelites. So he's outnumbered 4-1. And so God says, Gideon, you've got a numbers problem. Let's go out and find some more guys, build up this army so we can take on Midian, right? Nope, just the opposite. Look what happens. The Lord said to Gideon, you have too many men. I mean, too many men. Really? Too many men? That's not it. And then it keeps going. I cannot deliver Midian into their hands, or Israel would boast against me. My own strength has saved me. You know, he's basically saying he doesn't want to get to a place where they'd be like, wow, we've done it on our own. So now announce to the army, anyone who trembles with fear may turn back and leave Mount Gilead. So get this, 22,000 men left while 10,000 remained. 22,000. So we've got another numbers problem here. Let's take a look. Midian's now to 135,000. Israel's down to 10,000. So now the odds, 13-1, he's outnumbered. And so God says, you know what? That little trick, kind of a mistake, didn't turn out the way I thought. This is gonna be way too hard for me, way too hard for you. Let's go get some more guys so we can win this battle, right? Not even close. Look what happens. But the Lord said to Gideon, there are still too many men. Take them down to the water and I will thin them out for you there. Now, the one thing this army doesn't need is more thinning out, right? I'm gonna thin that army out. So Gideon took the men down to the water. Now, this is kind of a strange part of the story. It says, there the Lord told them, separate those who lap the water with their tongues as a dog laps from those who kneel down to drink. 300 of them drank from cupped hams, lapping like dogs. All the rest got down on their knees to drink. Kind of a strange moment, right? Now, just for some context, in that day, just so you know, dogs were not like precious, valued pets like they are today. No one pampered a dog. No one bought little dog treats in shape of chocolate chip cookies for dogs back then, right? No one dressed a dog in a little doggy sweater for the family picture. And by the way, for those of you who do that, please stop. God hates that, okay? Dogs in that day were considered dirty and dispensable, okay? So you would think God would at least pick the knee drinkers over the dog lappers, right? Wrong again. Look at what happens in the story. The Lord said to Gideon, with the 300 men that lapped like dogs, I will save you and give the Midianites into your hand. Let all the others go home. So now we've really got to go back to our dashboard here, because now we've really got kind of a scoreboard, kind of a dashboard issue. The Midianites had 135,000. We're down to 300. So what are our odds? Gideon is outnumbered 450 to 1. Do you see what God's doing in the story? And by the way, God could just keep going. He could just keep thinning. He could say, let's get rid of all the guys' whose names start with J. Let's just get rid of those. And let's get with all the guys who grew up on farms. Let's get rid of those. Because you know how many men God needs to defeat Midian? 0. None. God doesn't need a soldier or a weapon or a strategy, because God is big enough. One of the phrases that our daughter Nora is saying a lot these days is, when I get bigger. When I get bigger, Daddy, I'm gonna drive a car like you. When I get bigger, I'm gonna go to work like you. When I get bigger, I'm gonna eat donuts in the pantry when no one's looking like you. Like that, she's just saying that kind of stuff over and over, when I get bigger. And that's how we think about life, isn't it? We think, when I get bigger, or when I have more money, or when I'm finally successful, then I won't be afraid anymore. But here's the thing, overcoming your fears isn't about the strength of your resume or the health of your portfolio. It's about the size of your God. And to prove this, God will actually lead you into situations where you feel outnumbered, outmatched, overwhelmed in your life. Because here's the thing, God is not trying to grow your wealth or your resume or your portfolio or your popularity. He's trying to grow your faith. He's trying to grow your belief. He's trying to grow your trust. And he wants you to know that he's big enough for that decision. He wants you to know he's big enough for that relationship. He wants you to know he's big enough for that problem. Last winter, when COVID broke out right here in our backyard, I felt God say to me, Scotty, I want Northshore to do something about this. And I said, how are we gonna do that? I skipped the global pandemic class in seminary. I don't know what we're gonna do about this. And God said, you know what? I think you've got too many people. Let's just empty that room and quarantine your church and see what happens. You know what happened? Over $250,000 was donated to COVID relief. And a new facility was completed over at Vision House. And food was stocked for months at Woodinville Storehouse. And we had our highest Easter numbers ever in our history, all while this room sat empty. Impossible? Not a chance, because God is big enough. And when we start to believe, church, that God is actually big enough, that victory that once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. That's what it was for Gideon. If you know the story, it's kind of a funny story what happened, actually. Gideon and those 300 men snuck into the Midianite camp during the night, and they blew trumpets and smashed jars on the ground. And by the way, that's not a strategy. That's just kind of silly. But the Midianites woke up so confused, they started attacking each other, and they ran away. The victory that once seemed impossible became inevitable. And that's how God works. Reminds me of those remarkable words penned by the Apostle Paul when he said, but God chose the foolish things of the world to shame the wise. And God chose the weak things of the world to shame the strong. And that's Gideon. From the least in his family to the greatest in Israel, from the weakest clan to a mighty warrior, from a hole in the ground to victory over death. And by the way, there's another story in the Bible that sounds a lot like that, right? When a carpenter from Nazareth named Jesus was put on a cross and buried in a hole in the ground, only to find out that God was bigger still. You see, when Jesus came walking out of that tomb, it meant nothing is too big for God, not even death. And I know how hard it is to believe this in our day, in a world that's built around political power and social influence and financial clout. It's easy to think you're only as strong as you are, right? You're only as strong as your job title. You're only as strong as your relationship status. You're only as strong as your investment portfolio. And by the way, there's a moment like that later in Gideon's story. The last part of the story I'll share with you. He's face to face with the last two Midianite leaders, the strongest of the bunch. And even after they were captured, they taunted Gideon saying these words. They said, "As is the man, so is his strength." In other words, Gideon, you're only as strong as you are. But friends, that is the lie. That is the lie. And this is why so many of us live our lives stuck in our fears. Because the truth is, you are only as strong as the God who is with you. And the God of the Bible needs no army to win a battle, no money to be rich, no applause to be worthy of our worship, because he is big enough. He's bigger than your past. He's bigger than your pain. He's bigger than your problems. And when he roars, he leaves no doubt who's actually in charge. Quick story, and I'll be done. Almost 5 years ago, someone here in our church was diagnosed with an aggressive form of brain cancer. And he was given 12 months to live, 12 months. Talk about big fears. Like, this is as scary as it gets, right? For that couple and for their family. And it's moments like that and moments like that that God can be really, really small. And we feel like we're all on our own. Or God can get really, really big. And we can choose to trust him with all that we have, everything we got, holding nothing back. And this couple started trusting God every day through debilitating treatments and uncertain moments. Well, here's the thing. Almost 5 years later, that cancer is now in full remission. His brain scans are clear. He's jogging every day. He's even learned to play the piano. In fact, this past week, they went in for like a routine checkup. And the oncologist was so amazed that she said, "I wish we could bottle up whatever you're doing and give it to all my patients." To which his wife said, "Well, you can't put God in a bottle." No, you certainly can't. You can't put him in a bottle or a box or a formula or a theory. God is just too big. And he never said, I'll keep bad things from happening to you. I'll never have that happen. He just said, I will be with you and you can trust me because I'm big enough. And friends, he's big enough for whatever you're facing right now. So I want to give you a chance to put your trust in this really big God. So would you bow your heads and pray with me for just a moment? And right now, as we pray, I just want to give you a unique invitation. If you've never put your faith in Jesus, I want to give you a chance to do that right now. Right now, you can just say, Jesus, I want to trust that you're big enough for my life. I want to trust that you're big enough for my problems. And if you've never done that before, you can say, Jesus, I believe that you came into the world as the Son of God. You died for my sins to give me freedom. And that means he's big enough for you. And if you prayed that prayer for the first time, I want to challenge you to do something right now. Just challenge you to do something. Nobody's looking. I'm just going to ask you just to raise your hand for just a moment. Thank you. It takes courage to say, God, you're going to be big enough for me. It takes courage to believe that God is big enough for you. But he is. And so, God, we confess right now together for how small we've made you, how little you've become, and how we live our lives. And so, Jesus, we ask that you would break through our fears, you would break through our self-sufficiency, you would break through whatever holds us back, and allow us to trust that you are big enough for whatever lies before us, no matter what that is. Jesus, thank you for walking out of that tomb and proving that you're big enough for every problem, every pain, every guilt. Help us trust you today and give us the courage to trust that you'll always be big enough for us. And we pray this in Jesus' name. And everybody said, amen.
I want to invite you to stand with us as we respond to God together. I am weary from the waves crashing over every day. God of mercy, please come rescue me. I am longing for your voice, gentle whisper in the noise. Father, tell me everything's alright. Your power, your presence breaks strongholds. King of heaven, when you speak, mountains move. I believe there will be breakthrough. Sing you alone. You alone can take my scars and piece by piece restore my heart. Take what's broken, make it whole again. Oh, your power, your presence breaks strongholds. King of heaven, when you speak, mountains move. I believe there will be breakthrough. Oh, there will be breakthrough. Shake the mountains, break the walls apart, open the heavens. Almighty God, you are overcomer, defender of my heart. By your power, the oceans open wide, your fire falls down, heaven and earth collide. King Jesus, forever by my side. Oh, shake the mountain, yeah. Shake the mountain, break the walls apart, open the heavens. Almighty God, you are overcomer, defender of my heart. Oh,
Well, once again, we are so thankful that you joined us here at Northshore Online. And we hope that if you're in the area here, you are able to come in and join us at the Palooza. We would love to see you there.
Yeah. And if you said yes to Jesus for the first time today in response to that great message, that's honestly the best decision that you've just made, and we'd love to know so that you can take your next right step. You can visit us on northshore.church on our website, and there's a text bubble there where you can let us know that you made that decision.
Yeah, congratulations. And once again, thank you so much for joining us. We hope to see you at the Palooza or later on this week, but if not, we'll see you right back here next week, same time, same place at Northshore Online. You guys have a good week.
See ya.